Glad to join our 7:30 news bulletin right here on Luntha television with me, Charity Chilanga. First, let's have a look at the top stories. Pope Leo XIV meets Palestinian president, calls for urgent action on Gaza. Civil society organizations hail arrest of Zikwanji suspects, call for justice beyond perpetrators. Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, sets strict membership rules to curb political defections. And in our exclusive report this week, Tendo Mzumara explores how Habitat for Humanity Malawi is stepping in to close the housing gap, offering hope, dignity and safer living conditions for low-income families migrating to the country's cities. We do have the details to these and many other stories. Stay tuned. Pope Leo XIV received President Mahmoud Abbas of the State of Palestine in audience at the Vatican on Thursday morning, where both leaders reflected on the suffering caused by the ongoing conflict in Gaza and the urgent need to ensure humanitarian assistance to the civilian population. The encounter, described as cordial and deeply respectful, marked their first in-person meeting following previous telephone conversations. The Holy Father and the Palestinian president discussed the grave situation in the Holy Land, expressing shared concern for those enduring the consequences of violence and displacement. We have a Vatican News report read in our studios by Patrick Popper.
During their discussion, the Pope emphasized the more imperative to safeguard innocent lives and to open humanitarian corridors that allow food, medicine, and aid to reach those in need. He renewed the Holy See's appeal for dialogue rooted in justice, reconciliation, and mutual recognition, underlining that peace cannot be built without respect for human dignity and the pursuit of truth. Reflecting on the broader regional context, the meeting also reaffirmed the commitment to a two-state solution, emphasized as the only viable path toward lasting peace and stability in the region. The Holy Father highlighted the Church's consistent teaching that peace is not merely the absence of war, but the fruit of conversion of hearts and the patient building of trust among peoples. The Holy See Press Office noted that the conversation took place in a climate of sincerity and hope, touching on the need for renewed international efforts to bring an end to the hostilities and to advance genuine reconciliation between Israel and Palestinians. On the eve of his meeting with Pope Leo, President Abbas paid a visit to the Basilica of St. Mary Major to pray at the tomb of Pope Francis, whose pontificate left a lasting imprint on relations between the Holy See and the Palestinian people. Accompanied by Egyptian Franciscan Friar Ibrahim Fattas, the president paused in silent reflection, offering flowers and prayers for peace in the Holy Land. The visit coincided with the 10th anniversary of the comprehensive agreement between the Holy See and the State of Palestine, signed in June 2015, which reaffirmed the shared commitment to the rights of believers, the protection of sacred sites, and the universal value of Jerusalem as a city of peace for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike.
Eleven suspects accused of robbery and malicious damage in Lilongwe have been re-arrested shortly after being granted bail by Senior Resident Magistrate Wanangwa Nyirenda. In his bail ruling, Senior Resident Magistrate Wanangwa Nyirenda stated that the state failed to convince the court why the accused should not be granted bail. The 11 suspects have been re-arrested on the grounds of disturbing the peace demonstrations of civil servants who were demonstrating for better working conditions. More details in this report followed by Gift Kalonga.
Immediately after Senior Resident Magistrate Wanangwa Nyirenda granted bail to 11 suspects accused of robbery and malicious damage at Mbowe in Lilongwe, police rearrested them, an action that did not go well with their relatives and sympathizers. The court had earlier granted the suspects bail, citing the state's failure to convince the court why they should not be released. Each suspect was ordered to pay a cash bond of 100,000 kwacha provide 2 reliable sureties worth 2 million kwacha each, report to Area 30 Police Headquarters every 2 weeks, and surrender their traveling documents. However, moments after the ruling, police rearrested the suspects in connection with the attack on civil servants who were holding peaceful demonstrations at Area 18 Memorial Tower. The development caused commotion among the relatives and sympathizers who had gathered at the court premises, who anticipated the release of the suspects. The suspects are Bruno Munno Makina, Eric Pakamisa, Alfred Darakadura, Dave Malamulo, Joseph Gideon, Isa Saidi, Rogers Fakiri, Ramek Mandua, Lester Kanjunga, Howard Kadango, and Alexander Njuch. Meanwhile, Magistrate Nyirenda has adjourned the Mbowe violence case to 3rd December 2025. The suspects are expected to go to court on Monday, 10th November for the civil servants demos disruption case. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Meanwhile, a coalition of civil society organizations, the Human Rights Consultative Committee HRCC, Forum for National Development FND, and the Malawi CSOs-led Economic Empowerment Movement MABLEM, has held the arrest of suspected Zikwanja members, describing it as a long overdue step toward justice and accountability. HRCC chairperson Robert Nkuzalamba told journalists in Longe that the development shows the wheels of justice are finally in motion, emphasizing that authorities should go beyond arresting their perpetrators to also investigate those who financed and protected them. He clarified that the action should not be viewed as political revenge, but as a pursuit of accountability, saying justice must reach those who sponsored the terror. Nkuzalamba further called on the judiciary to expedite the trials and uphold due process, noting that Malawi must move from a culture of impunity to one anchored on justice and national healing. Nkuzalamba explains.
The matter should not only end at giving them bail, but we need to investigate and find out who sponsored them, whether they are politicians or business persons. All these must be brought to book, because we came across information that there are some foreigners that are in the country who have been behind the procurement of panga knives for these people, financing violence, and we are saying as a country we can't afford to continue living like this and in fear in our own country. We have seen what violence does, and we would not want this to continue. Hence, we wanted to take advantage of the commitment by the President, Professor Akuntarika, and the DPP that they don't want to support violence, and we want to hold them to account on all the violent acts that have happened in the past.
Minister of Justice Charles Mhango has disclosed that the Democratic Progressive Party DPP has introduced new guidelines that aspiring members will be required to follow, a move he says is aimed at strengthening the party. According to Mhango, under the new system, the party will first assess an individual's background and loyalty to the previous political affiliations before determining whether or not to admit them into the DPP. He was responding to remarks made in Parliament on Friday by Member of Parliament for Nkarabeji Nteche Noah Chimpeni, who advised the DPP to make its membership entry process as difficult as obtaining a US visa, observing that in Malawi, it has become a common trend for politicians to switch parties whenever their own loses an election. Fales Chizombe has filed this report.
In his remarks, Chimpeni emphasized that political tourism should be stopped as this behavior fuels corruption in the country. Chimpeni stated that politicians tend to switch from one party to another as a way of covering up the wrongdoings they committed while serving in their previous parties. He then advised the Democratic Progressive Party to keep its doors locked and not allow any political member to join the party. He said the party should make it as difficult for politicians to join as it is for people to obtain an American visa. Chimpeni further said that politicians who have not been voted for by the people in their constituencies have no value and should not be given a chance to join the Blue Party. The Blue Party. Join the Blue Party. Join the Blue. Responding to Chimpeni's remarks, Minister of Justice Charles Mhango assured the House that the party has put in place measures that will be followed before any political member is allowed to join. He said after following the laid-down procedures, new members will either be accepted or rejected by the party. Any political member is allowed to join. He said after following the laid-down procedures, new members will either be accepted or rejected by the party. But any political member is the laid-down procedures. New members will either be accepted or rejected by the party. But any political member is the laid-down procedures. New members will. In recent years, several politicians have been moving from one party to another, with some having been members of almost all major political parties in the country. Thales Chizombe reporting for Luntha News.
Watching news on Luntha television. We'll be back after this short break.
School fees kwa kuhega tobano. Listen to fees by Airdo Money. Muta kulipia school fees mosa vuda kutera bafuni yanu. Tadilani ndondomeko zo tadirazi. Toyamba imbani *211#. Pamenye yoma muda batidwe sankani 8 kuti mulipire fees. Piturizani bosanka 1 yomwe ndisenti fees. Kenako mudzafunsidwa kuti mulowetse admissions number. Kutoka hapo mudzaona skulu yomwe mufuna kulipira komanso dzina la ophunzira. Onetsetsani kuti zonse ndizolondola. Pitirirani ndi kuyika ndalama zomwe mufuna kulipira. Lembani pini yanu ya Airtel Money kuti muvomereze kulipira. Ndipo nthawi yomweyo mudzalandira SMS yotsimikiza kuti zatheka. If you've just joined us, I know that you're watching news on Luntha television. Now, let's have a reminder of the top stories. Pope Leo XIV meets Palestinian president, calls for urgent action on Gaza.
Civil society organizations hail arrest of Zikwanji's suspects, call for justice beyond perpetrators. Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, sets strict membership rules to curb political defections. And in our exclusive report this week, Tando Mzumara explores how Habitat for Humanity Malawi is stepping in to close the housing gap, offering hope, dignity and safer living conditions for low-income families migrating to the country's cities. Moving on with the news, Minister of Labour George Gona has expressed his commitment towards strengthening technical and vocational institutions to align with the country's Malawi 2063 vision. According to Gona, the inclusion of innovation within the ministry's mandate is a deliberate move to ensure that students are not only trained but also empowered to apply their skills in real-world situations. Shigona made the remarks earlier today during his formalization tour at the Lilongwe Technical College, where he expressed satisfaction with the progress of the Skills for a Vibrant Economy SELF project, saying the project is on track and expected to be completed by April next year. Judith Okana with the details.
Shigona said the ministry is working hand in hand with various partners to provide technical colleges with essential training equipment, stressing that practical learning tools are key to achieve the ministry's goal of providing skilled and self-reliant graduates.
And then they have added skills and innovation. There will be no skills without innovation. Our aim is to empower the youth so that whatever we provide to them, they have to implement it outside the campus.
Meanwhile, Lilongwe Technical College Principal Sugika Mvulu said SAVE project is transforming the institution through major infrastructure development and staff capacity building. He said the construction of a 2-story girls' hostel will ease accommodation challenges, while the project's training competence is helping lecturers upgrade their skills to meet modern teaching standards.
Some of the teachers for further studies in the universities, so a training institution, for it to operate well, it has to have staff that are versed with technology, current technology, and all of them, they should all be sent for training so that when they come to class they can teach confidently.
The SAFE project remains central to Malawi's efforts to build a competitive workforce and drive sustainable economic growth through skills and innovation development. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Judith Ogan.
Malawian Airlines has announced the introduction of direct flights between Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe and Entebbe International Airport in Uganda, set to commence on December 15, 2025. A move expected to ease travel and strengthen trade relations between the two nations. Speaking to Luntha Television, the marketing officer for Malawian Airlines, Onritaulo, said the new route marks a significant step toward expanding the airline's regional network and enhancing connectivity for travelers within Africa. Emmanuel Jocha is for the reporter read in our studios by Tandewe Mzumara.
Taulo added that Malawian Airlines recognizes the growing Ugandan community living and working in Malawi, noting that the direct connection will make travel more affordable, faster, and more efficient between the two countries.
Thought it wise that if we engage them, they'll also be part of this route to make it a success. This route will need this community to support. Us, we are there to support, but also we need them to support this route so that it has to be successful at the end.
Uganda-Malawi Economic Liaison Officer Martin Isiagi has commended the airline for the initiative, emphasizing that the route will save time, cut travel costs, and foster stronger business cooperation.
The travel between Lilongwe and Kampala and back had been one of the 9 key points for the community to address this year. So it has come, most of the people are involved in business, and time is the enemy of.
The development has also been welcomed by Uganda's High Commissioner to Malawi, His Excellency retired Colonel Fred Mwesije, who has described the new route as the symbol of deepening brotherhood and sisterhood between the two nations. Speaking on behalf of the High Commissioner, Chairperson of the Ugandan community in Malawi, UGACOM, Father David Nwagaba, shared similar sentiments, saying the flight will enhance trade, cultural exchange, and people-to-people relations.
The Ugandan community, through the ambassador of Uganda to Malawi, in his statement, the ambassador says, "I am very excited about this news because it is going to increase brotherhood and sisterhood between Uganda and Malawi." And as Ugandans in Malawi, they are very excited because this is going to ease their mobility, considering the delays that have been there with the connecting flight between Malawi through Addis Ababa or through Kenya and the delays.
Meanwhile, both the government of Malawi through the Ministry of Trade and the government of Uganda through its High Commission in Lilongwe are organizing a trade and investment forum scheduled for the 21st and 22nd November 2025 at the Bingu International Convention Center, BICC. The forum aims to build on this new milestone and promote deeper bilateral partnerships. Malawi and Uganda have enjoyed diplomatic relations since 1964, grounded in shared values of regional stability, trade cooperation, and cultural exchange.
Malawi's major cities, including the capital Lilongwe, are grappling with an escalating urban crisis. Rapid population growth and continued migration from rural areas have triggered the expansion of informal settlements, stretching city resources to their limits. Experts caution that without immediate and coordinated interventions, millions of urban dwellers will continue to live in poverty, vulnerable to poor sanitation, inadequate housing, and frequent disaster risks. With urbanization rising at nearly 5% annually, cities such as Lilongwe, Blantyre, Mzuzu, and Zomba are struggling to meet the growing demand for affordable housing, clean water, and basic infrastructure. In this week's exclusive report, Tandiwe Mzumara explores how Habitat for Humanity Malawi is stepping in to close the housing gap, offering hope, dignity, and safer living conditions for low-income families migrating to the country's cities. Let's watch.
A new UN Habitat report reveals that over 60% of people living in Malawi's cities reside in slum-like conditions. These communities face daily challenges including overcrowding, poor sanitation, and limited access to clean water and proper waste management. The situation poses a serious public health risk with frequent outbreaks of cholera and other waterborne diseases. Women and children are among the most vulnerable, often bearing the brunt of unsafe living environments. Here, in Lilongwe's Area 27, Habitat for Humanity Malawi is working to change that. Through its ongoing slum upgrading project, the organization is helping residents plan safer communities, secure land ownership, and access improved. Advocacy coordinator Crispin Chavula says the 3-year initiative has already made a tangible impact, helping 300 households obtain land titles, constructing 24 homes for the most vulnerable, and renovating several others.
We have been working with the women in housing savings group so that they can save their resources to improve their houses. We have also identified some few individuals that could not build their houses on their own, and we have supported them with new housing constructions, and there are about 24 of them in this particular community. But we also realized that there are some communities, some families that had the houses but could not finish it, and we are supporting them with renovations or retrofitting so that we can complete their houses and they can be able to have a decent house.
For Celestina Malizani, a resident of Area 27, the project has brought more than just better housing. It has renewed their faith that lasting development is possible in their community.
He used to live in a poorly ventilated house that leaked whenever it rained. One day the house even collapsed while I was still inside. Thankfully, through the support of our local authorities who linked me to Habitat for Humanity Malawi, I now have a strong, well-built home with proper roofing and improved living conditions.
For Leston Banda, life has taken a remarkable turn. His previous house stood in the middle of a road, making it difficult to reach and unsafe. Thanks to support from Habitat for Humanity Malawi, the old building was demolished and he now lives in a newly constructed home situated in a safer and properly planned area.
When Habitat for Humanity came, they informed me that my house was actually built in the middle of a road, something I had no idea about. We agreed to have it taken down, and they helped me build a new one beside the road. Now I have a much better home, and the road itself has also been greatly improved.
That is why however, challenges remain. Funding gaps, weak governance, and a lack of affordable housing continue to undermine efforts to improve conditions in informal settlements. One would argue that a more integrated approach is needed, one that combines infrastructure investment, hazard mitigation, and social support programs. MacLeod Kadamanja, Chief Executive Officer of Lilongwe City Council, says the city is rolling out an urban strategy aimed at improving life for its residents. According to Kadamanja, the council is working closely with the Ministry of Lands to guide residents whenever they plan new infrastructure projects.
Developed an urban strategy that is guiding us in how we are supposed to take care of the residents. You have heard of Area 27. It's a new township that has just been created so that we accommodate those that are in dire need of accommodation, especially homes. And then we have also been working hand in hand with the Ministry of Lands. You have also heard about Maguero industrial area where we are extending the industrial site from Kanengo, from Biwi, so that people that are doing serious businesses, they should be doing their business in such places.
Mercy Dule, Director of Urban Development at the Ministry of Local Government, says the ministry is working closely with local councils and partners like Habitat for Humanity to change this. She explains that the National Planning Commission, NPC, is also helping by developing secondary cities and building homes designed to ease overcrowding in major cities like Lilongwe and Mzuzu.
We are still working with the councils to implement the National Urban Policy. Much as the 5-year period has elapsed, there's still much that has to be done. But the major challenge is the issue of resources. So government is improving the resources that go to councils because, as you know, 2024, another urbanization decentralization policy was approved. So through that, we're trying to empower local councils because they are the ones who implement most of urban projects.
Chief Secretary to the government, Dr. Justin Saidi, says the rise in city living is putting pressure on urban centers, with about 1 in 5 Malawians moving to towns and cities. However, he says government is investing more resources in constituencies to improve development and create opportunities, helping families stay in their home communities rather than feeling forced to move to crowded cities.
We are looking at decentralization as the major factor that will help us. We are going to help the people. We are going to give them people that are capable of assisting, because now we have more resources in the constituencies, in the rural areas. Therefore, we need the people that will be able to manage those resources.
With urban populations set to grow even further, the coming decade will be critical for Malawi's cities. Addressing the twin challenges of slum expansion and disaster vulnerability is not just a matter of public health or infrastructure. It is central to the nation's development and the well-being of its urban residents.
That exclusive report forwarded by Tandio Mzumara also brings us to the end of our today's edition of news. But let's have a recap of the top stories before we go. Pope Leo XIV meets Palestinian president, calls for urgent action on Gaza. Civil society organizations hail arrest of Zikwanji suspects, call for justice beyond perpetrators. Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, sets strict membership rules to curb political defections. And in our exclusive report this week, Tandio Mzumara explores how Habitat for Humanity Malawi is stepping in to close the housing gap, offering hope, dignity and safer living conditions for low-income families migrating to the country's cities. You have been with me, Charity Jilanga. Thanks so much for giving me company and continuing the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. Have a lovely weekend.